Okay guys, we're on Universal Drive. We're going to go and do an interview with Andrew Peck. Let's see how that goes along, shall we? Very interesting side of what actually happened. So we'll see what Andrew has to tell us. Oh yeah.
Oh, g'day. Oh, just park out in the grass anywhere out the back.
Cool. We're here with Andrew Peck. We're going to get his side of the story as far as PINAC is concerned. When she first came, she dealt with your salesman. Yep. You had no dealings with her, even though in the motor vehicle dealer's hearing, she said that she had spoken to you. So,
yes.
So many white lies.
Yep.
What happened with the first fault? How long was it between when she bought it and when it first started an issue?
5 or 6 weeks. She was driving the vehicle and then she had a breakdown in the Ponsonby area, so John and I rushed over there to help her. When we got there, we started the vehicle with one turn of the key and it drove down, and then we assumed it was a good car still, so we said to her, I thought maybe she made a mistake. We said it's a good car, and she goes, okay, thanks very much. At that time it was still amicable. And then she jumped in the car and drove down the road. She got about 2 kilometres down the road and then it stopped again. So we rushed over to her again, and we called a tow truck and had the vehicle taken to our mechanic at the time, and we provided her with a loan vehicle, and the mechanic then took a look at the vehicle.
So it was all, of course, at your cost. None of this is on her head.
No, of course.
So then the mechanic assumed that the fuel, because it's a fuel pump or something.
Yeah. He couldn't find a fault with it at the time because it was starting and running and it was working fine. So he assumed it was perhaps a fuel pump fault. And then so we changed it out for a different fuel pump, and took a few days to get one. And then she returned our vehicle to the Henderson branch and picked up her car and took it home.
And then how long after that did she report more issues?
Yeah, she drove it home and then it stopped again in her driveway.
Okay.
And we were like,
so same day? Same day.
We were really surprised to hear that. So she said she needed a station wagon, so we organised a station wagon for her, grabbed it, and I raced over there with it and to have a look, see if I could drive the vehicle back or get it towed again.
Were you able to bring it back?
Yeah, it started up.
First turn. It seems to be okay when it's cold, but once it's heating up,
yeah,
it's issues.
Yeah, that's what was going on with it. But when I got to her house that time, the mood had changed, and she was standing out there, and I said to her, I said, oh look, I gave her the station wagon to drive, and then she was like, I knew you were going to, her words were, I knew you were going to try and gaslight me, so this is why I'm recording it. I don't even know what that meant, but I was just trying to explain. I'm sure it's a simple mechanical problem. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Sure. I mean, you're not a mechanic. You've got to wait until the specialists look at it.
That's right. That's right. And we didn't have, the other thing is we don't have, of course, because it happened suddenly, we don't have a workshop of our own, so we have to book it in. It takes a few days for them to have a look at it, etc. Which once when I left, she was yelling things and that when I was driving down the driveway in her vehicle.
So she was yelling abuse while you're taking her car back to get a repair for a second time round.
Yeah, and she'd also told me that she was recording this meeting and blah blah blah. And it was very hostile.
Perfectly entitled to record.
I was upset.
Everyone should record everything.
I was upset that a customer was upset at all.
Yeah,
But I just wanted to get the car repaired to her and get it back to her.
honour the CGA as your entitlement allows you to do.
Yeah, and we left her with a car that she can use in the meantime. That was good. That she actually damaged while we had before, and we were careful about this.
Come out and get photos of
It's
the
not,
car.
we don't have it anymore.
Oh,
But we
yeah.
have photographs of the before and after
I'll
damage.
get your email and chuck them to me in some way. I can
Yeah.
chuck them in the edit.
Yeah.
So after you got it and drove it back away, copping abuse the second time.
Yeah, I took it to the mechanics, dropped it off to him. He was scratching his head with what it could be. But then he, after a couple of days of mucking around, that he figured out that it was an engine speed sensor that was faulty.
Sure.
Not something that was coming up on the diagnostics report. And we found out that it was going to take 10 days to get a new engine speed sensor for that vehicle from Australia.
And what did she do?
She had called John at work, and that wasn't good enough, and she was abusing him, and she demanded to know where the vehicle was. He came to me and asked me what I should do. I said, you don't have to take that kind of abuse, and none of us are the spectre anymore. Just we'll repair the vehicle and get it back to her.
Yeah. I mean, if you got that abusive, say, on a 111 call, next thing you know, you'd have misuse of the telephone and police coming around to see you.
Yeah, I know.
So what did she do with the,
Oh yeah, and we told her all further correspondence from there by email, please.
Yeah. Okay, so you're just trying to cut out the nastiness and...
Yeah, and the thing is,
stick to paper.
mechanics work for us at trade rates, and they don't want our troubles, as it were, so why should they be... I was afraid she would go and abuse them, and I didn't. I was protecting one mechanic. So I want to continue.
One party and the other,
I'd like
not the third party.
I'd like to keep doing business with them, as it were.
Yeah.
You know, they don't charge us lower rates for that nonsense.
The mechanics don't need to breathe.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, so she then had a loan vehicle. You told her you're waiting for the speed sensor to come over and the parts. Did she? What was her next port of call, so to speak? Was it?
The next thing, I had a phone call from the Waitakere police.
And
she had told them that she was there at the Waitakere police station while she called me at Henderson. And she told them that we had stolen her vehicle.
And your response was to look out the window.
Yeah, I told the police, do you see the vehicle that she drove there in? And he actually was able to see it from out the window. Yeah, and I said, that belongs to us. That's the loan vehicle we've given her while she was, while we were repairing her car.
I don't have any other car thieves that
I
have
told,
loan vehicles
I had told them how she had abused my staff, and how I advised my staff not to speak to her anymore because she was seemed unhinged, or perhaps on medication. I don't know, something like that.
Sure.
And that's where on UnFairGo they said that I thought that I had said that she was on medication.
Yeah.
Legal or not? It's because I thought, you know, that was
she wasn't behaving the way a normal.
We've been doing this since Universal Reports has been running since 1998, and we've never seen such a.
In 24 years.
Yeah, we've never seen anything like it.
Wow. Well, you do get the diamonds in the rough sometimes, don't you? Okay, so the cop sent her on her way, realised she was
the policeman said, the policeman said to me, he goes, is that, I said, yeah, this vehicle's been repaired and will be returned to her as soon as it's done. And he said, oh my goodness, okay, I get it now, I'll send her on her way. And then another hour later, I get a phone call from the Waitakere Community Law Centre.
And how were they on the phone to you?
They were much more aggressive in her favour. Telling me I had no right to. My response to them was, do you realise that the Motor Vehicle Disputes Tribunal, that she's not allowed legal representation? And they said, yes, that's correct. And I said, well, I think I'm done speaking to you too.
Yeah, fair enough.
I didn't want to talk too much to anyone, reporters, anybody, because everything can be twisted against you.
Exactly. Narrative versus truth. Okay, so then into the Motor Vehicle Dealers Tribunal. How long had she had the car before the filing happened at the DDT?
we before that we received her letters of rejection of the vehicle, and that she took once the part came from Australia, I had it fitted, and then the car was repaired and in perfect working order, and I returned it to her with another staff member of mine.
That was the little bit of filming I've already put up of you returning that she'd taken the car.
Yeah,
because
because of her actions previously, and I didn't know what kind of person I was dealing with. I asked my staff member to film me returning the vehicle so that we could, just in case she tried something.
Gets rid of the he said, she said. Exactly. That was going to do. Okay, so the NPCC, they had a look at the case. They then ordered her to go and do a couple of things.
No. Before that, she took the car for a pre-purchase inspection at Kiwibank.
Pre-purchase or post-purchase?
Post-purchase, and in this case. And she had told them that she had just bought the vehicle.
How long had she actually bought it?
She'd had it about 6 weeks at that time.
Okay.
6, maybe longer, because we'd repaired it 8 weeks, 2 months at that time.
Okay. So she's probably clocked up 1,500 Ks by that point.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, 250 a week.
Yeah.
Yep. And
they actually produced a previous inspection that didn't find any faults with the vehicle. No, nothing broken with the vehicle. It had some wear and tear and some slight oil leaks, and but actually nothing broken.
Exactly.
And when
fit for purpose.
Fit for purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so after that purchase inspection, she chimed up something about Repco and needing oil. That
comes along a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah. First we go to court, and then the adjudicator, Mr. Brett Carter, actually said the same thing to her in court. He said, "Hey, there's nothing actually broken on this car. According to the CGA, Mr. Peck has done everything correctly for you by the thing." He goes, "What's the..."
So it was looking in your favour at that point.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What's the problem here? And she pulled out a receipt from Repco and said that she'd been advised by the salespeople at Repco that it's probably burning oil. At that stage, Brett Carter said, in that case, we'll require a oil consumption test and a transmission check, because she had also said that she felt there was a fault with the transmission.
Okay. And did she do any of that?
No, not at all.
So what did she do?
She took it for another pre-purchase inspection before the next
next hearing.
Next hearing, yeah.
So she didn't do anything Brett told her to do. She went and got another inspection from someone, because my guess is she did the first one saying there was nothing wrong.
Yeah, and I think if she had have got I actually received the vehicle back for an inspection myself at that time, where I test drove it, made vehicles of the car shifting properly. There was nothing wrong with the transmission, and then we pulled the dipstick out, and I took photographs of that too. And the vehicle was overfilled by about 1.5 litres.
Wow.
Maybe more.
So they they do have dipsticks for a reason. So overfilled with oil. Didn't get the oil consumption, didn't get the transmission test.
Yeah.
Back at court again.
Which I actually, at the time, I submitted that to court before the hearing, and I also asked, if would she like us to remove the 1.5 or 2 litres over that it was, to bring it down. So she refused that. She said, "No, I don't want you touching it at all." So, okay.
How are you supposed to fix it?
Yeah, but I think it showed that it wasn't like oil.
It showed the character of her and how much she had to deal with.
She showed the character of herself pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, so at what point did the inspector that was working for the NVDT have a look at it?
So she was told to bring the vehicle to court.
Yeah.
To do so, and she didn't do that.
So how did the inspector get to? Because I know it's in the findings.
Yeah. So the inspector, we actually agreed to go to her house.
Oh, okay.
To do that.
Alright, so you and the inspector all showed up at the same time, and the inspector's findings was favourable to you? Or
yeah, she'd let the car go flat, the battery go flat.
Yeah.
I don't know, left the lights on, I don't know what she'd done.
Yeah.
So I took a jump pack from work, we started the car and found that she'd filled the car with water somehow.
In what orifice, so to speak? Where had she put inside the vehicle?
There was water inside the vehicle and inside the engine firewall between the battery in that vehicle sits between like the firewall and another wall.
What possible reason would she?
I don't know how she'd done that.
Probably water in the parts of the window down or something.
I have no idea. But
because I remember seeing that footage of her moving the car mat, the floor mat, and showing the water on the inside. So
Yeah.
that was all of her doing.
yeah, it wasn't, that
so
was
nothing mechanically causing that water.
Yeah, she'd driven it 6,000 k's in 6 months at that point.
Yeah. So
as well.
So you're kind of well past the point of no return, really, aren't you? After 6 months. So why do you think Brett Carter, who I think his appointment's ending this month, he only gets appointed 5 years as the adjudicator. When did he start to side with her against his own mechanical findings and whatnot from his own inspectors?
I have no idea because he never gives a judgment on the day. He always takes
reserved judgment.
He always takes 2 weeks to deliberate, as it were, because I don't think he likes to
make a decision on the day.
Man up to the people, and he makes out that it's going to go your way, and it doesn't.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Okay, so
which was also when the decision was delivered.
Yeah.
It was delivered under level 4.
Okay.
Okay, so the whole Auckland was shut down.
Lockdown. No one's allowed to see nobody. Stay in your home.
Yeah, right. So we the decision came out. We picked up the vehicle. We arranged to have the vehicle picked up during level 4 to get off her. We paid the finance company out for what was owed for the vehicle, and we also weren't able to pay her her $3,000 until it went level 3, and as soon as it went level 3 and we had the funds available, we were able to pay her straight away.
So this was before FAIRGO?
Before FAIRGO, had nothing to do with FAIRGO.
Okay,
but FAIRGO,
how do you know, or how did FAIRGO get involved? Do you know if she contacted them?
I have no idea.
Someone from the NVDT tipped them off, or?
I have
it's all speculation, really.
Speculation. I have no idea. It had nothing to do.
It certainly wasn't from you.
It wasn't from me. I wasn't even in the country.
Yeah. Okay.
I was in when the decision was given. I was in a foreign country.
Yeah.
I was away for the second half of last year.
Yeah.
It had nothing
of course,
to do.
the restrictions and everything. You just would have had to wait till you could get back in.
Yeah, look, I knew Auckland was on lockdown and that. So when it happened, I was doing everything by telephone, and we had no choice but to do it the way we did it.
And that's why John said there's no point calling him because he's not going to talk to you on that. When FAIRGO run and spoke to John, the dealer here, and they says, well, can we have his number and try calling him?
Oh, yeah. No, it had nothing to do with it. I told John that we weren't to speak to FAIRGO at all.
Yeah.
He wasn't to speak to them. He spoke to them more than he should have.
What was your reasoning for that? Because of what you've seen in the past? Or?
Yeah, them twisting your own words against you. You know, like they can edit this and edit that and make you look like you're much worse than you are.
Which is exactly what they did.
Which is what they did, even without us talking to them. The same reason I stopped talking to her and made everything by email, the same reason I stopped.
And yet FAIRGO claimed that they were the reason why she got paid out in the end.
They had nothing to do with it. I've every time we've ever been to the Motor Vehicle Disputes Tribunal and had to make a payment, we've always paid.
In 24 years, you're going to get the occasional one now and then. Yes, you do.
Yeah. You get the odd Karen.
Yeah. Or Ken. Well, I think men are a little bit more logically minded most of the time when it comes to vehicles. They have more understanding. In the whole,
since 1998, we've only, out of all the court cases we've ever been involved, we sell a lot of cars, right? You know, we sell over like 250, 300 cars a year.
That's a lot.
And we over 27 something years. We've only ever been taken to court by white females between the ages of
social justice warriors. Yeah.
Like typical Karens.
Yeah.
And we South African males.
Yeah.
Those two, the only types we've ever had take us to court. Everyone else,
watch out for the rock spiders.
Everybody else works it out with you. You know, I mean, well, we fix our customers' cars. We never leave them in the lurch. Never.
Exactly. It had me scratching my head, especially after, because as you know, I got given all of the footage, the recordings, the emails, and released it all before PARAM did their thing. And the gall for them to still try and twist the narrative after all of the facts were out there beforehand, that blew me away. So I'm still, I've got a complaint into the TVNZ. All they did was repeat my complaint back to me. Then I put a complaint to the Broadcasting Standards Authority a couple of months ago now. Still not heard back, so I'm going to be giving it a chance. I'm quite happy to go to High Court. And
I looked at it too, because they said things that I said that I never said. They said,
like that email she read out, Gil.
Oh right, I mean like the things that
about getting her silenced and all that sort of shit.
Never said any of those things.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, that's some sort of of character, you know, defamation of character.
And in the social media posts, you'd said, you know, beware if there's a Karen on the loose. At no point in that message did you identify her as the Karen. Never. So in fact, PARAM identified her as the Karen by linking that link with that story. Absolutely.
I never said it was Siobhan Kelly at all.
Yeah. I could tell when I was reading it. This man's very careful about.
Yeah, and after it had been up for a couple of days, I actually thought better of it and I removed it. But I never targeted her. I never put. I was no in any way ever like online bullying or anything like that. That my page is a private page. Only friends of mine are able to see it. It's not open to the public.
So it was only a mutual friend.
It turns out we had a mutual. She and I had a mutual friend that forwarded it to her, and then she handed it over to PROTESTORS. But I mean, I was only up there for a couple of days. But I don't know. These people have agendas.
And she says she only made one post, and yet on the actual PROTESTORS story, it seemed like she'd made more than one post because she'd spread it around.
Oh, sure. She went to the.
How much social media attack did she?
Oh, she had plenty. Yeah. From everything from reviews to writing things on the Massey community page, a whole bunch of other things. You know, we had a whole bunch of crazy people attack us and send us abuse about the PROTESTORS story and things like that. And I mean,
with that much power, you'd think PROTESTORS would use that power more wisely instead of being used as an attack dog by someone who's wanting to be vindictive.
Well, I got legal advice on it about taking them to court and suing them for what they had done. You know, you can't. I didn't realize it's okay to make up lies and put them on TV and doubt people. And I thought TVNZ were a bit more reputable than that. But the truth is, they have an insurance that covers them and expensive lawyers. And if it was to go against me, it could cost me $150,000, and it's just not worth it.
Exactly, so, and they bet on that to protect themselves from anyone litigating against them.
And I used to be a pro kickboxer and stuff, and I used to represent New Zealand in lots of countries, and for like 20 years, But
not that has anything to do with selling a car.
I know, but what I mean is they use that angle. That angle, yeah. And then they were talking about that. I haven't actually had a fight in the ring since 2014.
So you haven't even been a fighter for the last 8 years, and they still talk about digging deep to try
just
and
anything that could make me look like the big bad tough guy against
the bully and the intimidator.
When the truth is, I watched her bully the adjudicator Brett Carter into his decision because even his own vehicle inspector said it was a decent vehicle.
Was Brett a bit scared of her or something? Was he?
I'm afraid. Yeah, I think possibly. Straight
spear go on to him next.
It looked like the way she was that, you know, like she bullied him into doing that.
Yeah.
She didn't. She wanted out. She decided she wanted out of the car. And that was it.
Do whatever, come hell or high water to get out of it.
Truth is, we found out she had lost her job and couldn't keep up with payments, so she just wanted out of the vehicle.
Yeah, that's
It
what
seems
I
that.
assumed.
No, she actually said that in court.
There's an interesting point that we haven't brought up yet, and that was to do with the suspension issue. When he sent her away to get the oil and the transmission, and she did neither, she went and got a second post-purchase inspection done with someone else.
Yeah.
So, and it was after that the suspension light came on. Is that right?
So she said on the video she submitted to the courts before the last hearing that I just picked up the car from having a post-purchase, another second post-purchase inspection, when she was told to get an oil consumption test and a transmission test, but she did neither of, which seems, is that okay with the courts?
Yeah, I don't even get why the court would find her favour, given that she's not doing what they asked her to do. But
she was on her way home from that, and she said, now there's a suspension fault light on in the dash. I actually, when she submitted the second post-purchase inspection, I rang the guy who did the inspection because it had his information there.
Sure.
And I asked him, did you put that car into lift mode? Because it's an air suspension car. And when you put a car like that onto a hoist or ramps, you have to put it into lift mode. And I asked him, did you put it into lift mode? And he said no. And
the reason for the lift mode is?
To protect the suspension when it goes onto a hoist or onto ramps. And so she, on her way home from there, it was damaged.
So in actual reality, it seems as though the second post-purchase inspection is what caused that suspension issue by them not doing the job right.
Totally.
And I'm not going to name names on those ones. I mean, they've all got a job to do.
No, but I pointed this out to Brett Carter.
Yeah.
He said to her, well, is this true to her? And he said, well, if that's true, then this is in the courts. If it's true, then he mentioned how that the case would be basically thrown out.
Because she caused damage after taking possession of the vehicle, which removes any chance of refund or return, according to the Consumer Guarantees Act.
Yeah, but he still found in her favour, and he said that the
go and scratch your head on that one.
Yeah, he mentioned that the pump on the air suspension could wear out in the future because it had done 185,000 Ks and was.
But it hadn't worn out.
Hadn't worn out because he used that and said that that's what caused the suspension fault.
So that was his easy out and to basically get the case out in the court.
Yeah.
And you ended up getting shafted by PROTESTORS, the customer, and the motor vehicle dealers driving you.
100%.
And you've done nothing but bend over backwards, pay for mechanics, pay for towage, give loan cars, been reported to the police for it, had loss of earnings from and abuse.
All of the above.
From PROTESTORS.
And my staff were being abused.
I mean, I've only just met John today, but he seems like a nice gentle fella that isn't used to being abused.
And we look after our customers. You know, something breaks down, we get it fixed.
Yeah. And you also, I mean, you don't just buy cars and then sell them again, eh? You do them up. You were saying before, you detail them and do all that.
Customise vehicles and do them up. You know, like if we take in a trade-in that's a bit rough, we'll fix it up and get it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. All good. Anything else you want to throw in here or add? Have we missed anything?
Not really, but I mean, just
because there's a lot more to what
she said on PARAM how dealing with us was vile.
Yeah.
To be honest, dealing with her was vile.
Yeah.
It was like something we've never experienced.
Yeah.
We've had some difficult customers and problems with Karens, etc. before, but this one was like something else. Like
shame you can't get a mental test done on the people that are the motor vehicle dealers tribunal, you know, not like family court where you can go get a mental assessment done on these people.
And that too, you know, like dealing with the motor vehicle disputes tribunal, they're just crocs.
And you honoured what the decision was though, you paid them.
Always.
So
It's the law.
The whole spiel that you're not copping up the cash from FairGo was wrong, and they seemed to make out that you hadn't paid them, that you hadn't paid Savon.
Clutching at straws to make us look worse. Anything that
give
could
there an ego boost, I think.
Oh no, just to make a more sensational story, I would say.
Yeah.
Just anything, but just like they're just as crooks, telling lies to make a more sensational story, because it was things that I never said that they said I said. We chose not to speak to them for that reason, and it happened anyway.
It's the old presumption of innocence in this country, but once it comes to court, you've got to prove you're not guilty of everything. Gone is the presumption. Oh, well, Andrew, thanks very much for getting out your side.
I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as far as I'm concerned, if people need to hear it from the horse's mouth, and no offence, you're the horse in this mouth. So.
All right. Welcome, mate.
Groovy. See you guys.
Yeah.